the right is attempting to use like the transgender community as to terrify people as some sort of political wedge to like take everyone's rights away. And I think the arts is like really well positioned to change people's hearts and minds.
That was Tenderloin Museum Executive Director Katie Conry. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast about artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city unique. In this bonus episode, we'll meet Katie's colleague, Museum Program Director Alex Spoto. Alex will share many of the upcoming programs at the museum as they gear up to celebrate their 10-year anniversary this summer. Then Katie, whom we first met on this podcast back in early 2024, will walk us through the new museum expansion space, which will more than triple the size of the institution. Here's Alex Spoto, followed by Katie Conry.
It's an exciting time, as you know. The museum is approaching its 10th anniversary, so we'll be in our 10th year. That happens in July, mid-July.
Okay.
And as you know from talking to our executive director, Katie Conry, we have a few big projects in the works, namely a new production of the Compton's Cafeteria Riot play.
Yes.
Which has been a long time coming. That will open on Friday, April 11th. It's a real
so
exciting moment, and
I believe it's something that Katie talked about when we recorded a couple of years ago, the episode about the museum, is that she talked about that production and all the kind of starts and stops and everything and everything that's going into it, and now here we are.
And here it is, after so many years. It was originally produced in 2018, and there were plans to produce it in the neighborhood proper on a kind of regular basis, and those plans were about to come to life in spring of 2020, like so many things, and then
what happened then?
You can imagine. But we're opening in an annex space at 835 Larkin Street between O'Farrell and Geary. And we're hitting our kind of crunch time. But on top of the play, there's a bunch of other stuff that's happening at the museum. And
let's hear about all of it.
Next 2 months are going to be really busy. So we are, first up is we're going to be opening a show first Thursday in April. We are opening a show by an artist who passed away actually in 2022, an artist called Lady Harriet Sebastian, who lived in the Dorothy Day senior housing down on McAllister in Leavenworth, and was this really colorful person that led this sort of free-spirited life, and like many people in the Tenderloin, has this incredible life story that is more than the sum of its parts. Lady Harriet was a painter and a singer and a performer, grew up in the Midwest, was involved in radio, sold, ads on radio, performed some, ended up living in Guatemala, singing in some like blues bar.
Ooh. I want to go there.
I know. I want to go there too.
I want to hear her sing.
Yeah, she's incredible. She's this. So she kind of comes out of that world of performing, but also had been a painter her whole life. I think when she was in Chicago, she took some classes at the School for the Art of the Art Institute, SAIC, and lived in the Tenderloin for 25 years. Her last 25 years, she died at age 90.
Wow.
And her daughter got in touch with us and said, I have all these incredible paintings, my mom's life's work, and she loved the Tenderloin, she loved her housing there, we want to find a home for them. And we're going to be that home. This April, we're going to focus on one large work called The Bridgeman, which is this kind of like almost social realist tableau of the people that built the two bridges, the Golden Gate and the Bay Bridge.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And so yeah, it's going to be kind of focused on this one painting, and I don't think she ever really had a proper celebration of life in the neighborhood proper. So hopefully her community comes out for that. The following week, on April 17th, we have a program that we are calling Monumentalizing Community. It will be a screening of film by the Skywatchers group. Skywatchers are a kind of performing community based in the Tenderloin that I like to think they're kind of grounded in movement-based work.
Okay.
But a lot of folks in the Tenderloin participate. They usually do a couple shows a year at Mission Dance Theater. I think was their most recent one. They took it over to Oakland. Poetry, rituals all involved. They often are reflecting on or thinking about how the city shapes the way we live and how we are and how we feel. So this film is called Reimagining the City as Our Own, Towards an Architecture of Inclusion. This program is part of the Tenderloin Museum's participation in the San Francisco Arts Commission's Shaping Legacy project, the Monuments and Memorials project. So the following week, on a Wednesday, curveball, we normally do Thursday, but we're doing a Wednesday,
all right.
April 23rd, because it's not actually at the museum. It's going to be at the Great American Music Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Big show.
My favorite live music venue in the city, by the way.
My favorite live music venue in the city. More than the city for me. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's not just
so
the place
lovely.
itself and how it sounds right. The shows I've been to, I feel like they don't oversell. It's just so it's always comfortable. It's just the best place.
Sweet spot.
Yeah. And so what's going on the 23rd at Great American?
It's a program we're calling Club 181 Live. And it is going to be part concert, part kind of presentation, inspired by this club in the Tenderloin called the Club 181 that was active from at least the 1950s to the early 90s. And many people over the years have recalled this bar very fondly to us. It was a queer bar, I think, for many of its iterations, but has this really colorful history, and we wanted to kind of tell that history live on stage. So this historian, Michael Flanagan, is going to kind of be our Virgil through this multi-decade odyssey about the 181. And he is going to take us through the many eras and have special guests for each era of this bar. So in the 1950s, a sort of famous female impersonator performer named Lynn Carter not only performed at the bar but owned it. And in the 60s, you had sort of these show people of America the person that was involved with them owning the bar. So there were circus people hanging out there and go-go boys.
I
and
love it.
The swing and Spaces, the Place was filmed there.
Okay.
In the 70s, Vicki Marlene, Pat Montclair, Imperials were there performing, stuff like that. And then in the 80s, we have a lot of great documentation from the Doris Fish, Sluts A Go-Go era.
Okay.
So we have this incredible kind of variety show happening. Miss Bob Davis is going to be out there. Colette LeGrand, Lee Crow is going to do Elvis or Selvis with Kitten on the Keys.
Yes.
Philip R. Ford is going to be a special guest. Megan Rohr, and then Veronica Klaus and Tammy Hall are going to headline the night with a set of music. It's going to be one of the larger productions in this series we've had for a few years now. We've called Sounds of the Tenderloin. We were very, very fortunate in 2022 to get a generous grant from Hardly Strictly Bluegrass.
Oh, nice.
When they didn't do their festivals because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
distributed a lot of the money as like industry support and stuff like that, and we got a chunk of that for programming live music in the Tenderloin. And I should also say that the state of California funded a second round of this, so we've kind of had 2 seasons spread out over like 3.5 years or so.
This is the 40th program as part of these grants?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In just 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. New program every week, Jeff.
That's a big deal.
We try.
Yeah.
No, it's super exciting, and this is going to be a huge one. So
awesome.
If you're hearing this, grab a ticket, come out, spend the evening at the Great American, and then in your mind in the Club 181.
In Club 181. And we'll get like ticket info and everything in the show notes for this episode for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Then we're into May.
Geez, then it's May.
So May 1st, another First Thursday. We're trying to tap into that SF First Thursday Art Walk energy. And May 1st is going to be the first of a series of like block parties we're going to be doing on Myrtle Alley. So Myrtle Alley is adjacent to the venue where the Compton's Cafeteria Riot plays will happen.
Okay. Off of Larkin?
835 Larkin.
Okay.
It's in between O'Farrell and Geary, and then next to Sergeant Macaulay Park, there's that alley that's like 2 blocks long.
Yeah, that's where Fleetwood used to be, kind of. And the gangway.
Yeah,
RIP.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. So we have a little grant from San Francisco Planning. Thank you very much.
Yes.
To do some activations on Myrtle Alley. The first one is going to be really great. It's a issue release party for McSweeney's 78, the Make Believers. So this is an issue of McSweeney's beloved San Francisco Literary Quarterly. It was founded by Dave Eggers, who also founded 826 Valencia, which has an outpost here in the Tenderloin, 826 Tenderloin. So, and Dave has written some books that feature the neighborhood quite prominently. So it's great to be able to collaborate with McSweeney's.
Yeah.
And there's a topical connection here because the day before, April 30th, is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. The Southeast Asian diasporas that were in the Tenderloin, are in the Tenderloin, real vital part of the community. This McSweeney's issue is, the theme is writers from the Vietnamese diaspora reflecting on what it means to be Vietnamese 50 years after the end of the war.
Wow. Cool.
So
that's on April 30th, you said?
The anniversary is April 30th.
Oh, the anniversary.
The event is Thursday, May 1st.
Block
because
party first Thursday.
We're trying to do the first Thursday thing.
Got it.
So we will have 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be at the Compton's venue. We'll be out on the street. A DJ named Topazu is going to play music. And in the middle of all that, we'll have readings by 2 of the contributors, Vu Tran and Don Bui. The 17th is a big weekend in the Tenderloin. 17th is a Saturday. The 16th and the 17th, our friends at Psyched SF Radio are going to be throwing the 2nd annual, I believe, Tenderloin Music and Arts Festival.
This is May.
This
16th
is May,
and May
16th, 17th.
Got it.
Psyched SF is this great local radio station that I think is mostly on the internet airwaves, but great programming, and the folks that founded it have deep Tenderloin connections, and when they do this festival, it's like they have something going on at every bar and venue and alley and space in the neighborhood. It's kind of wild.
Yes.
So I want to give them a shout out. There's also going to be this Southeast Asian Multicultural Spring Festival.
Okay.
At the Rec Center, family-friendly event that we will be, essentially kind of co-sponsoring a performance of Vietnamese musicians.
Awesome.
Kind of like folkloric dancing and storytelling. So yeah, a little more of like kind of a community family friendly event for us that Saturday the 17th, but I think there's going to be a lot going on in the neighborhood that weekend, so a good time to hang out. 22nd, we are, let me pull up some notes for this real quick because there's a bunch of moving parts.
You know I edit this podcast too. Like, yeah.
Just a little bit, right, Jeff?
Just a little bit. All good. That's
perfect timing.
Yeah. I needed to clear my throat also. So there we go.
Okay, so May 22nd, it's a Thursday. We are hosting a program that was inspired by the publication of this book called Daughter, Mother, Grandmother, Whore, the story of a woman who decided to be a puta. It's by Gabriela Leite, who was a Brazilian sex worker rights activist. I think could say she sort of founded the sex worker rights activist movement in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And was friends with some of the folks that were doing that here in San Francisco, like Carol Lee. And following week, May 29th, Matthew Gordon Lasner, who's like a urban studies scholar, is going to give a talk about these buildings you can see out of our window right here. These tall buildings that are a little mod looking for the Tenderloin. They're called Mosser Towers now. They were called Central Towers. They were developed by Joseph Eichler, who, is famous for more suburban single-family homes, like modern single-family homes. And so it's going to be talking a bit about the design, but also a bit about the transformation of apartments in the post-war era in San Francisco and elsewhere.
Something I think we didn't talk about, but I think I heard Katie mention earlier, is that sort of part of the timing of all of this.
Yeah.
Y'all are celebrating an anniversary?
Yeah, 10 years.
Talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the 10-year anniversary officially is in July 16th.
And we have some of the story of the founding of the museum, I think, in 2 different episodes, because Melinda Uno was on way before I even met y'all.
Right, yeah, way back
and then
in the day.
Katie talked a little bit about it, but so it was 2015?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, now we're 10 years.
That's no small feat.
Later,
and to do something like on the scale that y'all do it is remarkable.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
The Tenderloin Museum is expanding. 2 different storefronts. We leased a space on Larkin Street where the Compton's Cafeteria Riot play is going to be able to run every Friday and Saturday for the foreseeable future in its own dedicated space. And then we also leased the space next door to the museum, and we are going to triple the physical size of the museum.
Incredible.
We break ground this July, coinciding perfectly with our 10th anniversary. And this is where we're going to make a big hole in the wall to connect the spaces.
So the other side of this wall is the museum?
Correct.
Okay, the permanent collection part? Okay.
So we're in the ground floor of the Cadillac Hotel. Both of these spaces are, and the Cadillac Hotel was built in 1908. It was a hotel for a long time. Then it had became like kind of de facto housing for poor people. Then Kathy and Leroy Looper bought the hotel in 1977, renovated it, kept it historical, didn't displace a single person, and became the first like nonprofit supportive housing on the West Coast.
Wow.
Which then became really the model for the neighborhood. And that's like the bulk of our housing is like nonprofit
All started here.
housing. Yeah. So this space was a ballroom and dining room when the Cadillac Hotel opened in 1908. Then it was, for a long time, it was Newman's Gym, which is like a famous boxing gym where like Muhammad Ali and other contemporaries boxed. And then most recently it was a preschool, which decided to leave this space and consolidate their Tenderloin locations last spring. So that was when we pivoted. We were going to expand into our basement, and we pivoted that whole project into this new space because it is beautiful and considerably bigger. So the Tenderloin Museum currently is about 3,200 square feet, and this space is 6,850 square feet. So we're going to be able to meaningfully listen to 10 years of feedback from our community and include that in our new permanent exhibition. There's going to be more diversity, more oral histories, more personal stories. We've done many temporary history exhibitions, like the Transition Times, Susan Stryker's archive of Turk and Taylor transgender history. We've done exhibits about the California Labor School, the Tenderloin Times. All of those exhibits now are going to be able to be part of our permanent collection. The Tenderloin Blackness exhibit we just curated with Del Seymour, that will be included too. And we have a list of about 10 to 12 community advisors, residents, academics that are really enthusiastic about this project and are going to help us re-envision the new exhibition.
Are you keeping the kitchen? I see a kitchen.
Yes. Great.
Okay.
I mean, we're still going to be an event space as well, and our programs will primarily take place in this space because it's so much bigger. So the main museum space is now going to be a neon art gallery and sign gallery. So the Tenderloin Museum's done 10 years of neon restoration work and advocacy in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and we're the fiscal sponsors of San Francisco Neon. So it's really a natural extension of that. And it's been a really fun, exciting, popular way of exploring history.
Is it going to be something like a San Francisco Neon Museum?
Mm-hmm. Correct, yes.
And there's nothing like that now.
There's nothing like that in the Bay Area. And I think it's going to generate a ton of interest because there's neon enthusiasts from around the world. And it's really going to put the Tenderloin on the map as a major international destination.
As it should be.
Yeah, and even if you don't know that you like neon, you do.
Right.
Yeah, the second you walk into that room and you're bathed in the light, you'll be completely won over and understand how beautiful, exciting, interesting it is for the city. And let's look at some of the other spaces. So you can see on the floor where the boxing gym was. Oh. Yeah. And this is going to be our new art gallery. So our art gallery was created by the staff after the museum opened, and it's been such an amazing program, such a great way of bringing exciting art experiences to the residents, but also lifting up the residents in the neighborhood that create art and giving them support. And right now we just have that one single wall. So imagine how much more we're going to be able to do with that, how many more artists we're going to be able to support.
Is it going to be a challenge to fill this much more space, or is it kind of the opposite problem?
Yeah, it'll be the opposite problem, I think, probably. I think we already have more ideas than we have space, although there is a great deal of space. Let's keep looking. So this is going to be a special exhibition on Indian American immigrant history in the neighborhood and how it is related to the national hotel industry. Yeah, so kind of a special topic room.
Permanently?
Yeah, semi-permanent. And we'll definitely have room for some temporary history exhibitions here as well that'll be movable so we can still do programs in this space.
Is everything that's currently in the permanent space that exists over there, is everything coming over to this new space?
Yeah. I mean, we're still doing the exhibition work, so I think it has yet to be seen whether or not we're going to physically move the exhibits over and just add to them, or whether or not we're going to kind of do a redesign and the content will be moved over, but the exhibits might change. So yeah, and this is going to be an early education, youth-focused room. So we do a lot of school groups, but we currently don't have exhibits that are geared for young people. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an exciting extension of the existing program. Opportunity to partner more deeply with some local schools.
Right on. Is this earthquake retro stuff? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm seeing some diagonal beams, and I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the space is amazing. It was used as a preschool like recently, so it has ADA, seismic exits, bathrooms, like all those things that the city really would like you to have.
I'm also looking at a sink currently that's maybe 2 feet off the ground, so it feels like a little kid zone.
There's like tiny little toilets in the bathroom and
Yes.
tiny little doors too that will be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
Fixtures. But the work is like primarily connecting the spaces is the major construction part of the project, and otherwise the construction is like relatively cosmetic, which is great. I mean, we're still actively raising money for it, but it's a $4.2 million capital campaign. That's like a 3-year comprehensive campaign that includes a lot of like soft costs as well.
Do you want to give shout outs to architects or designers who are working with you?
Yeah, Page and Turnbull has been incredible partners for this project. We couldn't have done it without them. And yeah, they were working with us when we were still working to expand our basement. And then we have $500,000 from the state the last time there was a surplus that Scott Wiener put in the state budget for us. That we were able to quickly kind of pivot into this space thanks to Page and Turnbull, and still be able to take advantage of those funds. And yeah, they've been so lovely to work with.
Please tell me that the glass ceiling thing, is that even what it's called?
I call it a skylight or an atrium. It's
atrium. That's a good. Please tell me it's staying.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we're gonna do very minimal changes. Clean it up a little bit, but it looks great the way it is. When it was a ballroom in 1908, this was actually covered with like a stained glass, but it's looked like this for a long time. Like all the photos of Newman's gym, it looks like this, and it looks great.
I wonder, have you been here when it's like rained, like not like today's rain, but like significant rain? Does it sound cool?
It does sound cool, and it actually does look better in the daytime. Because of the light, so we're talking about ways that we could maybe light it in an interesting way so it would still look cool at night.
Talk to illuminate the arts.
Yeah. But the neon's gonna look really cool.
Or yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really exciting space. We're very excited about it, and we hope to be able to welcome guests into this space in 2026. And I think we were hoping to be able to roll into phase 2, but it's been a really challenging time to fundraise with everything going on in the world, especially. So realistically, we might be opening later in 26. But the timeline for the actual construction itself should not take too long.
Yeah. And also just it's not maybe the reason to do these things you were going to expand anyway, but in the face of the adversity that's happening, I feel like anything in the arts that is being created or expanding is significant, right?
Yeah, these stories are more important than ever. Those in power are actively attempting to erase them, and
in some cases not just attempting.
Yeah, and we potentially will not be able to have access to funds from a National Endowment for the Humanities or National Endowment for the Arts because of the executive orders. Just disturbing and terrifying, and still an unknown. There's a court case that ACLU is right now, and I mean the play couldn't be more timely as well, since clearly the right is attempting to use the transgender community to terrify people as some sort of political wedge to take everyone's rights away. And I think the arts is really well positioned to change people's hearts and minds. And I think very disturbingly, there's people on both sides of the aisle that seem to be afraid of the transgender community right now. So it's really, I think, it's not necessarily just preaching to the choir. I think it's really important work, and those that see it, I think, will be motivated to understand that transgender people are just trying to live their lives, their authentic lives like anyone else, and are not just want to be themselves and are not trying to hurt anyone. And I think the more conversations, the more stories we can tell, the more we can change people's hearts and minds. I do think that that's can make a big difference.
That was Katie Conry. If you missed our first episode on the Tenderloin Museum, please check our archives for that. Next week on the podcast, really get to know longtime friend of the show, bartender and artist Kundum Baidwan. Episode 12 drops next Tuesday, wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was created, curated, and produced by Otis McDonald. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in the 7th season, we have more than 250 episodes available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the refreshed website, which I'm still working hard to repopulate with all the episodes. That's storiedsf.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. You can also rate us on Spotify. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at storiedsf. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay weird, stay informed, keep your eyes open, and we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.